Good day, this is Ranjari, and I will be tackling about the second part of the risk analysis. We stopped on the fifth risk phase due to software systems, and now we are on to our sixth, which is inability to control technology selected for development or use. In some instances, the user may not have sufficient knowledge about technology, and suppliers overrule the customer by giving whatever is available with them, whatever they think is okay. Some risk may be faced by the users, as I will be mentioning you today. Selection of vendor who may decide and offer hardware or software without knowing how to control it can be risky. For example, sales personnel without any proper background about the problem that he or she is selling. This situation can cause risk such as software or hardware may fail and vendor may not be able to correct it. User may not be able to use the hardware or software in such circumstances. Technology is selected by the user on the basis of recommendations given by the vendors. There is no analysis, assessment, or evaluation of requirements for selection of technology. The next problem that the user will be facing would be control may reduce the performance of system badly. Too many control trade-offs are done for improving performance in terms of less control or no control of validation or verification of data entry, processing, output, and user actions. This may result into high failure rates of the system implemented due to missing controls. The following are the other problems that the user will be facing. Next risk is incorrect entry of data and system. Data entry problems are the most common problems in the system usage where user may enter some data either by mistake or deliberate effort. If erroneous data enters the system, it means that either the controls are not effective or they are absent, and the user may be able to enter data which cannot be processed by the system. As I said, these are the problems that the user will be facing if this risk happens. If there are human errors in entering a data, and the system accepts it without any error messaging or warning to the user, it may create problems. Data may be accepted without any validation check, or user does not receive any help in identification of wrong data and entering the correct data acceptable to the system. You have to be very careful on doing the codes because the user will just only use the system, but they are not the ones who will be troubleshooting it. So that's really common. These are really the common errors of some of the programmers or of a system. The next problem is misinterpretation of characters or meaning of manually recorded inputs by the system can cause a risk of wrong data entering the system. Systems which read the reports and manipulate the database may interpret some characters wrongly. Commonly, mistakes can be 1 for I or 0 for O, and so on. These are the other problems that the user will be facing under this risk. Next risk would be concentration of data at few places. System may have some parts where a large amount of data is stored and processed. It may be due to lack of optimization of database. So the following are the problems that we are facing under this risk. Inadequate access control enabling unauthorized direct access to database and change in data by hacking database can create a problem in the system. When database can be accessed by normal people, there may be few direct database entries and applications may not be protected in such areas. So we have to be careful on important things that we are saving in our own technology. Next would be erroneous data entry, mistakes in transfer or processing of data from one system to another or one database to another, and their impact on multiple users of data can be a risk. Data at one place can cause a problem in case of the system suffers any disaster and entire data is lost. For example with that is when you transfer from one system to another, which the user may be confused on technology. Some of them are really that good in technology. Next problem would be impact of software or hardware failures that make data unavailable to multiple users, either intermittently or permanently create a problem in data processing and output. This may cause some data loss and processing may get affected badly. The ninth risk under the risks faced due to software system is inability to react quickly to users' requirement changes. Defects found by the tester or user must be fixed and new releases must be done very quickly. If the system is not updated, it can result into system failures while processing. Problems such as the first is structure of files is inconsistent and data processing stops abruptly without any warning to the user. The files must be changed quickly so that the processing can be continued further as expected. The system may not be able to understand the disruption and disaster recovering the process are not threshold. For example, this is when you have a game that needs to be updated and when you were playing that game that isn't updated yet, it automatically crashes. So in some instances it needs to be updated. It is a good example for that kind of problem under that risk. Next would be general purpose extract programs may not be available and error diagnostic actions cannot be initiated by the system when the problem is identified. The processing goes in a wrong direction without any control. These are also the problems that we can be encountering under this risk. Next risk would be inability to substantiate processing after disaster. System may need to maintain backups and logs of processing when it meets in some unexpected situations. It must have the ability to recover and restart processing when there is some disturbance. Like I said, as a computer engineering student, saving the data regularly while on the process is a must because we do not know when the machine stops or the PCs that we're using would crash. We do not know, so it's better if it is advisable that we save our works regularly while doing it, like continuously. These are the problems that we're encountering. Evidences of processing or audit check logs are not retained by the system long enough. The administrator cannot check and make the corrections whether it is required before restarting. The system may lose data or processing results and consistency may be lost. Next problem would be cost of substantiating processing exceeds benefits derived from such operation, and the user may not find much value in such system. The controls may not be devised properly but may create problem in the system. Next is evidence from intermediate processing is not retained long enough and the controls may give up wrong information or wrong output. If some system processes some wrong data, and for wrong data. For starting the system, one may have a restart the processing as intermediate the action are lost permanently. The 11th risk would be concentration of responsibility with people. Responsibility may be in terms of system handling many things or people using the system. The problems would be as follows. Establishment of large database handling many transactions at single place can be a big risk of the system. Processing becomes difficult and losses can be phenomenal in case of problems. In some companies, data are really important in in them for them, I mean, because it tracks the records of all the important details of the company. So data is really important, not on the companies but also in some schools like USTP or others like for only for teachers, for everybody, because data is everywhere. Next is data entry validation and verification happening at a single place can result into performance related issues. The point represents a bottleneck operation point. Last is same person doing the multiple tasks with authorization and responsibility for many things can be a risky situation in development as well as usage system. This may cause a problem for declaration of access privileges and responsibility to different users. In this problem, it is really kind of risky because if ever you're only you only task one person with all the responsibilities, he or she has to absorb all those information, which can be risky because humans aren't perfect. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes we do things that we didn't mean it, and also we are sometimes a bit of a clumsy. That's why it is risky to appoint just one person in all the tasks, authorization and responsibility in a specific no, in a company, I mean. Next risk would be erroneous or falsified input data accepted by the system. Data entry in the system is very important for further processing. Of course, because these are the records, the important details that needed for the future or for anything else. Data entry must have responsible validation or verification check to ensure the authentication and correctness. These are the problems here. First is unreasonable or inconsistent source data values may not be detected by the application at a data entry point if the controls are not present or they are not effective. Data processing may be affected badly if wrong data enters the system. Results produced or output given such system may be erroneous. Next problem that would be facing by the user would be manual keying error may not be detected by the system and it processes wrong data entry as it is. This may affect the results produced during processing and output. System does not validate data while entry or processing may allow falsified data entry and use. Another is incomplete or poorly formatted transactions may be accepted by the system and treated as if they were complete. Processing of such transactions can result in a failure system. Updations and database can be a major issue if all mandatory fields are not populated or populated incorrectly. These are also the problems that the user will be facing under this risk. For the 13th risk would be misuse by authorized end user of the system. Misuse by an authorized and by an unauthorized sorry Misuse by an unauthorized end user is a major challenge of the system. As an unauthorized user, people may be allowed to do something in the system, but they may not use it for some dubious purpose or in a fraudulent way. From what I have experienced in the last OJT, it is important that you really have full control of your own PC, because if the password and the username, the password will be put in the wrong hands, there would be really a problem in terms of data gathering and manipulation, or worse, hacking. It is important that you would always keep it a secret for yourself only, and for the administration, the password of the PC for protection also. User will use authorized access to extract information from the system for an unauthorized use. Confidential information from the system may be used for some unlawful purpose by authorized users. This may include employee information, customer information, and etc. One may need to manage audit trails and contacting access through various types of security. Another is user having access to invalid records in the database may manage to compile a complete listing of database and then make an unauthorized use of it. For example, data may be extracted or copied on media or steal it from some unofficial gains. Next would be authorized user may use system for personal benefit. Data may be accessed and copied when person wishes to take information for misuse. The system does not stop the user from accessing and copying the data and information. It also does not create a batch for misuse or audit trail to find the actions of the users. These are also the other problems that under this risk. For me, the risk is very, very risky because humans are very sly and they are very smart. Sometimes they can be evil. That's why it's very risky if a data that is gathered and confidential data are exposed. This would create chaos from the outside world or even the media. Next would be uncontrolled system access to user or outsides. Uncontrolled access may be logical as well as physical access to the system as well as the system premises. Some people may argue that systems may not be able to do anything in case of physical access control, but physical access control can be put into effort through proper system design. Some risks due to uncontrolled access may be as follows. Data may be stolen from the server room or storage area by authorized or unauthorized persons if such access is allowed. Development and storage areas may not be secured enough to prevent any stealing of information. Information system facilities may be destroyed or damaged by intruder or employee deliberately or accidentally by the system and system allows it. This may cause permanent or temporary disablement of facility. Disablement may be due to fire, vibration, or electromagnetic field. Next would be individuals may not be able to adequately identify through the physical or system checks before they are allowed to enter the system area. The identification methods may be penetrated or managed, and secured areas may be attacked. These are also the other problems that we will be facing under this risk. Next risk would be inefficient system security design and user privacy practices. Security and privacy Security and privacy requirements are very important when the system is handling classified data. Risk to security and privacy may be due to the following requirements. Poorly documented criteria for authorization access to the system may result to users not knowing what information they or others are permitted or not permitted to see in the system and what operations they or others are entitled or not entitled to perform. They may commit transaction without knowing the possible outcome. So from what I've learned on AG, it is important to read the company policies in order to prevent further damage on the company and to oneself. Next problem would be the system administrator responsible for the security or privacy implementation may fail to restrict user access to only those processes and data that are needed to accomplish assigned tasks for the user. This is a typical scenario of physical security through manual supervision or logical security through system access control where people may allow access to others to the system without knowing the reasons for such access. Large payments, large receipts, unusual price changes, and unanticipated usage for the system may not be reviewed for correctness before committing the organization resources for them. There may not be a provision for multiple reviews and sanction in a system design, and such transactions go undetected. So, as I said, these are the other problems that we'll be facing under this risk. The next risk would be procedural errors due to production operations. There are, I think, 3 to 4 problems under these risks. So, processing procedures and controls. The system may not have efficient control or detect, correct, or prevent problematic situation leading to risk of processing or output. These are the problems that we'll be facing under these processing processes, under this problem. Next would be data storage, media handling. Various storage media like floppies, pen drives, and CDs are handled by the software systems for taking backups or loading data. These are the problems that we'll be facing under this event if this would have problems while on the way. Next would be program errors. There may be some errors in programs written for the working system. The reason for such errors may be wrong requirements, wrong designs, wrong coding, or insufficient testing. So these are the problems that would be facing under this event. So thank you for listening. Again, this is Cagas leaving a message that peace is enough for a wise man. Thank you for listening, and God bless.